In this demonstration, we are going to go for a tour about Purview DSPM, Data Security Posture Management. Hello, I am CEO Rodriguez. Here we are at purview.microsoft.com, specifically at the DSPM solution. For those of you who are familiar with Purview, and for those of you who are not, Purview is a set of solutions, uh, many solutions that we will be discussing in this channel. But specifically, we're going to be talking about DSPM in this case, which in today's agentic era, uh, this is one of the most effective way of protecting data in the agentic age, if you want to call it. We can use data security posture management or DSPM to discover and secure all your sensitive data in Microsoft 365 and non-Microsoft 365 sources, including connecting partner solutions and sensitive data accessed in AI apps and agents. And if you want more information, you can um, you can click on this link and you can learn more about DSPM and what is and how it works and all that stuff. But for now, I'm going to give you a complete tour of DSPM, what it is, how it works, and why it matters in today's agentic era. The first thing is that if you do have the proper license, of course, you're going to see you can start with Copilot. Many customers ask, okay, but um, where do we start, right? If, as an admin, as a data security administrator or a governance administrator, whatever the case may be, where do I start? I have been asked that question many times by um, company CISOs and leaders and engineers in data security. And this is where you should start. So when you come in here, first of all, here's Copilot for Security, where you could start with this templates um, prompts, like which devices were involved in exfiltration activities. So if you click on this, Copilot will comes in and do its magic, and look at, devices that were involved in exfiltration activities if you are interested into that. So just right with a single click, Copilot will do its things, and actually it found here devices that were involved in some kind of activity there. So from there, because this is an endpoint issue, basically what I would do is that then I would go into Microsoft Defender. If you're using Microsoft Defender, if you're not using Microsoft Defender, you go to whatever program you use. I would hope that you're using Microsoft Defender, because Microsoft Defender integrates with all this, Microsoft Purview and Agent 365. There was a demo that I just did about previously about Agent 365, and this is, in a way, this is an extension of Agent 365, or at least some of the things that we're going to see here. Anyway, so which sensitive files were shared outside the organization? One of the main concerns for many security leaders is the exposure of sensitive data outside the organization. So immediately we can start working with those objectives. So those are security objectives that anyone in a company should be concerned about, right? If because we have access to so much data with generative AI programs and all these agents. So people are concerned, leaders are concerned about whether their sensitive data is being exposed or shared outside the organization. And so, yeah, this is where you should start. And there are a lot more prompts over here, a lot of recon templates that you should start for consistency. And you can create, your own prompt books. Just keep, these prompts over here handy to work with this thing. You can search for prompts and all that stuff. And of course, you can come in and ask your own questions, right? But so those are the kind of things that you can do. And based on what we just did, so based on the data from the past 10 days, we did not find any records pertaining to the above query. That's great. So I don't have to worry about that. All right. Now, let's move on to some key metrics, some key pasture metrics. So we can review this key data security pasture metrics for your organization's data sources from the last 30 days. And this includes data in Microsoft 365 and non-Microsoft sources. We can look at data discovery, for example, classify and label assets. And this is one of those things. So you have to make sure you need to start with classifying and labeling your asset. That's a prerequisite for many of the things that we will see over here. And I have a set of demos about how to classify and label data. So if you have been following me on this channel, you've probably seen some of those demos. For those of you who have not, I would highly recommend that you go back and watch. I have several videos about how to classify data, how to label that data. In terms of, so basically I see here that there has been a decline in terms of data classification and label access. And it's important to mention that this data security posture management is an ongoing thing. So things may be green today, but tomorrow something happened. And then so we are constantly scanning the environment to make sure that things are where they were supposed to be, or that at least you have visibility into what's going on in your environment. In terms of data protection, activities covered by loss prevention. Um, and here you see that metric as well. We'll click into that. Because if you want to protect data, so first you need to discover your data. And that's a huge thing. Many companies do not have visibility into all the data, specifically the sensitive data they have, where the data is, who's using the data, and how that data is being used. So you need to first discover, classify, and label that data. That should be the first step. Once you do that, then you start working with data protection. And one of the most effective way to protect that data is with data loss prevention, DLP. And we can create a DLP policy to protect that data with a single click, right? Or, well, I'm exaggerating, not a single click, but let's say two or three, rather than the old days in which creating a DLP was something really complex. DSPM allows you to create data loss prevention faster, quicker to respond, to the demands of today's environment. And even with data discovery and classification and labeling and data protection, there are many cases in which things will happen that you need to investigate. Then we go into the data investigation phase, and so we need to look into protection alerts and triage and all that kind of stuff. And we can see that metric here as well. Feature insights. So this is a new tool to help you secure your data, improve your posture, and identify new risks. So here we can secure AI data for apps and agents built in Microsoft Foundry. And again, so this is new. So if you, for those of you who are not familiar, Microsoft Foundry is a platform that allows you to create very sophisticated agents, not just delegated agents, but autonomous agents as well. So your AI apps and agents in Microsoft Foundry may be accessing, for example, sensitive data outside your current security policies. Well, we can enable the Microsoft Purview integrations. There's some work here. You need to go into Foundry and click a couple of buttons and do that. But that's something that's available now, right? So this integration then extend to data discovery, monitoring, protection for all Foundry-based agents in your organization. And you can get started by doing that. We're not going to go that now. We are going to look at that into a future video. For now, this is just an overview, a tour of DSPM. So let's continue with, here we see the top objectives to protect sensitive data. And one of those objectives that requires attention, it's in the data protection category, is prevent data exposure in Microsoft 365 Copilot and Microsoft Copilot interactions. So a lot of companies are using Microsoft Copilot. And one of the main concerns is, okay, but what are people doing with Microsoft Copilot? What are those interactions look like? What's going on behind the scene, especially when it pertains to sensitive data? And here we see that there has been an increase in the last 29 days, right? So it says that 20,022 or 12,022 um, Microsoft 365 Copilot and Microsoft Copilot interactions with sensitive data were detected from your organization in the last 30 days, which is an increase of 80%. And this could indicate emerging patterns of data exposure. So that's the objective. And then we have a remediation plan, which you can click over here and take a look at that. We're not going to do that now because, again, this is just an overview of the capability of DSPM. But in a future video, we're going to deep dive into each of these objectives and look at those remediation, how to apply those remediations. So just please keep tuned. Okay. Um, Another one from the data protection side is the prevention of oversharing of sensitive data. And here it shows that items were overshared, right? And you see the amount and all that kind of stuff. You can go into the objective, but we're going to be there in a second, and you can take a look at that as well. This is a data snapshot. So you can use this snapshot to understand your organization's data exposure for newly accessed or modified data and older data. So this is divided into a stale data, which is, again, old stuff, and fresh data, which is newer data. And then you can see what's been exfiltrated and what is not labeled and that kind of stuff. And then here you see pasture trends, right? You can review trends for your organization's data security pasture, identify changes to pastures that show possible risks, and the effectiveness of sensitive data protection for data in Microsoft and non-Microsoft 365 sources. So that's an overview of the posture of your data security posture management when you comes in here for the first time. If we click on objectives, so what are these data security objectives? You can view and track data security objectives for your organization here Each objective highlights key risks to address, actions to take, and progress over time. This helps your organization stay aligned with your overall data security posture. And again, so you have data protection and data discovery objectives. And here you'll see, we already saw some of this, the prevent data exposure in Microsoft. So we saw that this is the same thing. We can go to, if we want to investigate more, we can go into Copilot prompts. We can go into this objective. We can look at the recommended action plan. Again, we are not going to go into individual plans right now because, as I said, this is just an overall tour of the DSPM capability. But if you keep on watching, you'll take a look at all that. So prevent exfiltration, we saw that. Discover or monitor data sources referenced by AI apps. This is an important data discovery objective. Um, you can take action to reduce risk. Taking action could reduce AI interactions and all. And we'll show how all that is done. Okay, but these are the main objective. Another one is to discover sensitive data in your organization and prevent exfiltration of unsanctioned AI apps, right? Um, which is also very, very important. But we'll cover those individually in future videos. If we go into the AI observability section of DSPM, here you can get a centralized view of agent activity across your organization. And this is for those of you who watched a preview demo that I did on Agent 365, this is that same registry. So, in other words, Agent 365 is extended to DSPM. So here you can see all the metrics about the agents being used, whether it is active agents, inactive agents, agents that are high risk, and agents that are interacting with sensitive data. So we want to see what's going on over there, right? And again, if you need more information about this AI observability, you can go into the documentation of Microsoft Learn. Here we see again those agents, and again I could click on those agents and get more information about it. Um, I'm not gonna go through these agents because again I already had a very detailed demo on Agent 365. So if you want to learn more about that, then you could watch that video in my channel. So going back to this observability, so this is an extension of that. And as I said, we've been through that. This um, are divided into agent registry, right? And then we have all apps and agents. So here we get apps. I mean, apps are just that, they're apps that maybe are being used, but agents are stuff that the main difference is that the agents may do stuff on its own. They're sort of autonomous or semi-autonomous. As I discussed in the previous demo, um, some agents use delegated permission, and and also they need certain interactions from the user. But there are also some agents that are completely autonomous that have their own identities and they have their own mailbox and although delegated permissions agents also have identity, but these autonomous agents work like a digital colleague in which they have their own mailbox, their own teams, and similar tools and resources like a human would. So identity is key for those agents. And again, so we can look at that here from that perspective. In the discover page, again, we can go into um, apps and agents, and we can take a look at this again, divided by apps and then divided by agents. So here are the agents, And here are the apps, like, for example, Copilot is considered, an app. Agent Builder, that's an app. But then these are the agents. And we can take a look at that. And if we want to, drill down, again, we could click on one of these and take a look at the information. All of these are being monitored. Um, the data security and compliance policies monitoring this agent. You can see alerts for risk interactions in Copilot's experience in agents, and you can see the user with risk and AI usage. I mean, there's a lot of information that we can look into what's going on uh, and in this page over here. Again, because this is just an overview, we are just describing the capability and what you can do. We're going to go and make more detailed things, and how to stop, how to prevent, how to and have knowledge of exactly what's going on in future videos. If we go to Activity Explorer, in Activity Explorer, this is a key feature, not just in DSPM, but in the entire set of solutions in Microsoft Purview. Activity Explorer allows you to review activity related to content that contains sensitive info or has labels applied, such as what labels were changed, files that were modified, and much, much more. Label activity is monitored across Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, and endpoint devices. Support for more data sources is constantly changing, so it's coming soon as well. But here you see all activities. And if you just want to see AI activities, then you can come in here and you can see AI activities. So if you want to see AI interaction, there is, let's see, so some sensitive info types, see what happens here. We can click on this activity and take a look at what was going on over here, all right? Um, this is the user, security copilot agent user, and we can take a look at the interactions detail right here. This is the app that it was accessed. Let me click a little bit down. View related AI interaction activity. So if I click on this, user risk is high. Okay. Um, this is the prompt that actually was used. It says invoke a skill, get alerts ID for the trigger agent, blah, blah, trigger execution. A lot of stuff there. We could take this actually and, put that into and say, hey, what is this doing here? So we could basically analyze this. You can say, review this and find out, what, just get more into what that's all about, and that kind of stuff. But here we see a stuff that, again, as I said, we're going to go into deep later on some of this stuff. And this is the client IP address involved over there, and that kind of thing. So let's see this invocation of the get alerts for trigger a skill with parameters such as last agent ID, part of the automated alert triage process in Microsoft Purview. This process is designed to help you get, and then you get information about what that thing is. But anyway, so this is Activity Explorer. You can filter by type, by AI category here, uh, by apps, by agents involved. If you, instead of looking at everything, if you want to um, filter things, you can do that as well here. In Asset Explorer, you can review assets um, containing sensitive info or labels such as files, data sets, and much more. And again, so the pasture agent is in preview, but this is an agent that would allows you to basically, review your data security pasture. So this is what that it's all about. So this is a great agent. We're going to have a deep dive in the in Asset Explorer in the pasture agent at a later time. But for now, just be aware that this is there. And again, this is still in preview as well. Um, Data risk assessment are really, really cool and important in today's environment, right? Here you can assess and prevent oversharing. First, you need to identify it's review assessment results for users accessing sensitive items. You can review uh, the weekly results from the default assessment. So there is a default assessment that is run um, weekly, or you can create custom assessments to review specific data sources and users. So let's say that you're investigating a data source or a specific user, you can create an assessment and find out everything that's going on with that source or that user. Right? That's the identify. In the protect phase, you can limit Microsoft Copilot and agents access to sensitive data and apply label and retention policies to SharePoint sites and other data. So that's the protect phase. And then in the monitor, you conduct SharePoint site and access reviews to evaluate permissions and user access. And again, we're going to go to all of these deep dive and see how this works. But for now, we are just going this overview here. The default assessment, right, which is this right here, assess oversharing of sensitive data for the top 100 SharePoint sites based on how many times the sites are accessed. Results are derived from data collected over the past 30 days. And then here you see some metrics about the results when this was it was last updated on May 21st, recently, right? Common custom assessment status. So again, there was a custom assessment that was done here. We'll work with that in future video. But this data risk assessment are really, really important. Actually, this is one of the first place where you should start when you come to DSPM is to look at this assessment and create your own assessment. In the tasks and actions, that are now for DSPM to work, there's certain tasks that you must do. And so these are set of tasks that provide visibility to sensitive data, including risks and security controls to mitigate those risks and safeguard sensitive data. And these tasks are divided into required. You'll see that over there. And there's going to be a lot of documentation and step by step to for you to follow up. I mean, those things have already been done. And there's also recommended stuff depending on your objectives, depending on your company, that you may have to do. Integrate with a partner solution. So if you have another partner, if you use another solution, CrowdStrike or some other Salesforce, I don't care, right? There are many partners that have integration with this that you can integrate with as well. Now, if you use Microsoft security product, everything is in one place. So you don't have to create this integration. And remember, when you create integrations, data connectors, you are bringing more attack surface artifacts into your environment. But anyways, I mean, people, of course, there's other solutions out there, and people, the reality is that, people will use solution from different vendors. So we have that integration we have to cover as well, right? And here is all the recommendation actions in one place. So if you want to come in, also this is a great place to start to look at, what are some of the actions that are recommended, for me to do in my environment. So you come here, whenever this feels like come. All right, there we go. And so these recommendations are added into um, not started, dismissed, or completed, and they're also, um, over here so that you could, easy to navigate to them, right? So that's the recommendation. And then we have the reports. Management loves this. The C-suite, CISO, they love this because there are tons of reports, right? You can get a unified view of insights across data sources, users, devices, and activities. And these reports help you track sensitive data usage, policy coverage, user behavior, and AI related risks, enabling faster investigation and better security posture decisions. And you can look into reports by exfiltration or oversharing, AI adoptions and stuff, data discovery, labeling protection, and data loss prevention. To be honest with you, this is one of the greatest features of DSPM. Companies that I talk to and that I interact with, they love this feature because the first thing is that in cybersecurity in general, one of the biggest problem is observability. It's being able to know what's going on. So this report will give me a unified view, an insight into what's going on. All right. Anyway, so we are going to go deep dive into a lot of this content in future videos. So please stay tuned. But for now, that's all. Thank you for watching. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, to like my content, and especially when you subscribe, then you'll be informed when things new comes up. And I'll try to make new content all the time. Well, thank you, and I hope to see you in the next episode.